Welcome to today's program, Helping Fistula Survivors Develop Income Security. Before we begin our program, let's meet our guest speakers. From Eldoret, Kenya, joining us are two leaders from Let's End Fistula Initiative, our local partner. Sarah Omega is LEFI's founder and executive director. She's been involved with our Kenya programming since the very beginning. I'm going to have her share her background with you in just a few minutes. Kimani Francis is LEFI's program manager. He began by volunteering with LEFI for over a year. He develops training curriculum and facilitates education of fistula survivors and solidarity groups. Kimani has over 10 years' experience managing institutions of higher learning in Kenya and over 15 years as both a consultant and trainer for leadership, governance, and general management. Kimani is passionate about empowerment training for women and for youth.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Soja Orlowski, Executive Director of the Worldwide Fistula Fund. Today is the first in a series of broadcasts that we're doing, and our goal is to help you better understand the programs on the ground by hearing from our local partners. Today, we're focusing on how fistula survivors move forward after treatment to improve their quality of life through economic empowerment by understanding and receiving training in income-generating activities. So joining us today are two people from our program in Kenya. Sarah Omega is the Executive Director of Let's End Fistula Initiative, and Kimani Francis is the Project Manager. Welcome to both of you. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you for having us.
So Sarah, it's great to see you after not seeing you for 2 years. You too, Kimani. I'm hoping I'll be able to see you in the next year or so.
Yeah.
So let's start with you, Sarah. Let's talk a little bit about how you became involved with Let's End Fistula Initiative, because you've been involved from the beginning. So tell us about that.
Thank you, Soja. Hello, viewers. I would like to start by sharing that I am a fistula survivor. I lived with fistula for 12 years. And later, when I got treated, I started my own grassroots initiative with a personal mission of finding and referring fistula patients with fistula treatment opportunities. I did this on my own for 4 years before I got into what became a long-term partnership with One by One, then a US-based NGO. And now, the fact that now I had finances for my outreach activities, I made a decision to amplify my voice by recreating more Sarahs. That is to mean by recruiting more fistula survivors into my project, which later turned out to be the LEFI's model of conducting community-based outreach education, finding and referring fistula patients with fistula treatment opportunities, and facilitating treatment for all the women we found.
So you started with this phase 1 project, intensive outreach and getting women to treatment, and you were able to successfully treat a lot of women. So now you shifted to phase 2, and tell me about the importance of that and what brought you to that decision.
LEFI's work has been rolled out so far in 2 phases. As I had mentioned, that we had phase 1, where our goals were to conduct community-based outreach education, find and refer fistula patients with fistula treatment opportunities, and facilitate the treatment for all the women we found through our outreach. After doing that for 4 years, we were able to find and facilitate treatment for over 1,000 women. And after that, based, on our interaction with the women we found, and the needs, the gaps in the fistula treatment continuum, we realized there were gaps. So that is how we made the decision, to focus on social reintegration, economic empowerment, and prevention education, which we started in 2017. And when we did this, our aim was, to put in place structures that would help in empowering these women economically. And to begin with, we started being a pilot program. We started with the launch of 12 solidarity groups, which saw over 200 women. That is part of the 1,000 women, from the 1,000 women we treated in phase 1, recruited. And all these women, they engage in income generating activities, whereby they engage in either, tilling of the land, rearing of chicken, animal husbandry, running small businesses. And they do it as individuals, and that those income generating activities that they do as a group.
Okay, so we're going to get into the details of economic empowerment training and how they get to these income generating activities. But I wanted to ask you, how do you go about taking 200 women and forming them into cohesive groups that can actually function?
Yeah, thank you, Soja. It's a process. And I would say that for us, we have a network of regional representatives, which actually most of them, they're actually fistula survivors. The same network we worked with in phase 1 to identify and refer the over 1,000 women who are treated. So we used the same network, to form groups. But before we did that, we had an agreed criteria in place, whereby we agreed, the first thing was like, the criteria was like, any woman who is to be recruited in a group should be a fistula survivor and should be part of the 1,000 of the women we had treated in phase 1. Then again, being a pilot program, we were also keen at, the geographical region they're coming from, just in order to manage the logistics involved. And after we did that, the next step was to put group structures in place, because this is critical for any group, any group. So, and when we are talking about structure, we are talking right from, ensuring there's a good group leadership in place. Because based on our experience, I would say that the success and failure of any group is totally dependent on the group leadership. We are talking about another aspect of, putting structure in place is also helping in developing a group constitution, because these are women coming together with the same interest. So they needed to have something that would govern, all the operations. So that was also critical. Number 3, we are also talking about, the groups being registered. That is one as a requirement, the Kenyan government requirement. Number 2 was also to position the groups in order, to benefit from other potential supports. So after we did that, the third important step was also to work with the individuals in each group, in all the 12 groups, and also to work with the 12 groups to do what we did, what we call needs assessment. And that was based, because the different regions, women from different regions, their needs are different. Also, that this IGA that would work well in this region that doesn't work well in the other region. So we did that. Then later, what followed was now, the time-to-time training that they needed, with, of course, mentorship from the leadership team. And by doing this, the groups have been developed and grown into an excellent vehicle, to advance the goals of LEFI, including economic empowerment of the members of its members. And this has gone a long way in guaranteeing the members, all the members of their own income security.
Excellent. So you've now got these solidarity groups. You've got them with a constitution. They've developed a constitution under which they're going to operate. They know how to make decisions together. So now you have this group, and now you need to train them in economic empowerment. So Sarah or Kamani, tell me how you go about the training. I know you start with an annual meeting. So could you explain that, the training for economic empowerment?
Allow me to share a little bit. LEFI, we usually have our annual meeting, which happens early in the year. That is mostly January and February. And the goal for these meetings are usually one, to have a moment whereby all the LEFI team come together just to reflect on the previous year and learn, what the successes were, what the challenges were, as we forge forward for, ahead for that particular year. And then it also becomes, an opportunity to plan for that particular year, and also share what the strategic direction with the rest of the team. Then around that time, during that annual meeting, it is usually utilized for trainings. And this is what, and mostly the trainings are, we plan the trainings based on that particular year's, strategic direction. For instance, like in 2021, we were critically looking at, the solidarity groups and thinking, how do we help the groups, because they've been in existence. It's actually the 4th year. They've been in existence for 4 years, with support, with support. How do we bring these groups to a place of self-reliance? So that actually informed the kind of training that was to be carried out in 2021. And that's how we ended up doing a training on project management and sustainability. So, and once we do this, trainings at the regional representatives level, because when we come together, it's usually the LEFI staff and the regional representatives. When we do this, the same training manual is simplified. And also the women in groups are also brought into the same conversation, just to ensure that, we are all reading from the same script and we are all pulling in the same direction.
Okay. So you have your annual meeting, the regional representatives are there, and you're setting the direction for the year and what the training needs to look like for the whole year. You're strategizing. So now you've got to take the training out to the groups and train the women in the individual solidarity groups. So Kimani, could you tell me a little bit about how the training happens through the year and how it gets to the drivers?
Thank you, Soja, for that question. Once the annual meeting is done, the plan for LEFI is to, like the ED has said, ensure that the women at the solidarity group level are also in the same picture. So our plan will always be, once we have completed the annual meeting, we simplify the training material and the training curricula into a form that can be able to cater for the women at the group levels. And this simplification is to customize the training to the educational levels of the women, who sometimes are illiterate or semi-illiterate. So we are able to simplify the training materials, and we advise the people who visit the groups to use methods that can help the women as a solidarity group to be able to understand these training materials and the content that is going to be prepared for them. Thank you.
So, so you have many different regions. What, besides literacy level, what else affects training? Are there cultural differences that need to be taken into account?
Yes, Kenya is composed of many tribes, to say the least, 44 of them, with many sub-tribes, and therefore there is a lot of cultural issues around that and cultural differences. So when we are preparing for these trainings, it becomes important to consider those various factors so that we are able to bring everybody on board. So for the various trainings that we conduct, especially at the group levels, we utilize whatever we have as LEFI. Our various groups are made up of representatives from different tribes, different religions. So to be able to cater for all this, we do the training accommodating all these people. There are also other aspects like when you go on the ground, we are able to use people who can translate these things to the local dialect, whereby these people can be able to understand. The training material is customized for those different regions, whereby we can be able to use role plays, demonstrations, and things that would relate very easily to those people within the groups. So the process is made such that these differences can be accommodated for our target groups.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit more detail about what the activity actually is. So the income activities are various, but some of the functions of the group that help fuel that are something called table banking and merry-go-round. Could you explain that, how that works?
Thank you, Soja, for the question. The LEFI model of economic empowerment is based on ensuring that the women, we use models whereby the women can be able to understand it very easily. And one of that is the table banking model. In the table banking, just like the term says, it is simply whereby the women are able to come, put their contributions, bring their contributions in a meeting. They have put in structures whereby they can be able to lend and loan others on agreed terms. So just like a bank works, they have put a framework whereby they will agree the money that has been contributed, since it's supposed to help them improve on their income generating activities, they will agree how much each person is supposed to be given, at what rate, that is the interest rate, and also agree the period within which this money is to be paid. In most cases, it is supposed to be a month. So the lending amount is not too high that it burdens the woman. So in the next meeting, in the next month, the person who has been loaned is expected to bring the principal plus the interest. So within the model, this helps them to be able to be active. They don't take money just for taking it. They take it with a goal so that they can be able to come and repay. So the table banking model is simple, simplified for them, and they have been able to get trainings about it. And it has actually grown some of the group activities as well as the individuals. On the merry-go-round, which is the other activity that these groups engage in, this involves the women visiting each other for them to be able to share and support each other. In this model, they organize processes whereby when they are coming to visit a member of the group, they will be able to come support the person economically, or they can bring household items for this person. And depending on the size of the group, that process of visiting the various members of the group can run between 3 months to a whole year. And it is a model that has helped them to be able to share their experiences, go visit each other. They're able to see what is happening within their families, and also economically support each other.
So with table banking, and really to get started on all these IGAs, the solidarity groups were given small seed funds back in 2017. But since then, they've been able to increase their savings and, you know, self-funding now, correct? They self-fund all their activities.
Yes, it does.
And some of them have
the table banking
significant savings, right?
Yes, from the onset when the seed fund was given and they have been able to run their table banking, some of the groups have been able to develop that process to a self-sustaining fund. For example, one of our groups, which is in a region in Kenya, known as Bungoma County, has been able to raise over $5,000, meaning that this fund is now able to be self-sustaining. They're able to lend even higher amounts, and that has grown to a level whereby they're able to engage in even in larger income generating activities.
So could you give me some examples of income generating activities that individuals do and that groups do that have been most successful?
Thank you for the question. From the different groups that LEFI supports, together with the partners who support the work, we have had a lot of many successes whereby the individuals, some examples of the activities they engage in. One is crop farming, which to some is just small scale, but has been very successful. So you'll find some of the women engaging in activities like maize farming, beans farming. There's aspects of sugarcane and tea. And some of the women have done very well on this area and been able to increase their incomes. On the part of the groups, some of the groups, like one of the groups, and I'm very sure Soja happened to visit that group, it's called Kadisahano. They have been able to engage in farming, and they do sugarcane farming. They have managed to, over the years, get to a level whereby they can farm 3 acres of sugarcane, which is quite sizable. Also, the other thing that mostly happens within the groups is animal husbandry, whereby the members of the groups are able to keep either goats, sheep, cows, chicken. One of our most successful group is a group in Cheptais, whereby the women in the group each have a cow. And even some have gone ahead to have more than 1 cow, which started from just a goat, which was either bought through the seed fund, and they have been able to grow to that particular level whereby every woman can be able to have a cow, they're able to sell milk, and this is able to support their income generating activities either at the individual level or support the activities at the group level.
And we focused a lot on, you know, group formation and teaching financial literacy, but for things like agriculture and raising animals, LEFI also makes sure that the women have the technical expertise, right? They get access to technical experts, is that correct?
Yeah, so because what our role as LEFI, one as our program managers shared, is, you know, to provide, you know, the necessary need to provide the necessary, you know, structures for economic empowerment. But you find that in our team, we don't have like professionals in terms of maybe like the things that they're engaged in. Like, for instance, they need like how to do, you know, effective and profitable farming. We are not experts in that. How to rear, how to, on the issue of animal husbandry, we are not experts in that. But now we as LEFI come in, to facilitate that technical support, whereby we get, we are able to identify professionals who come in and offer that technical support. And just a month ago, I was in a place called Siaya, and there were two women, one of them called Nerea, a woman, who said that she benefited a lot from a veterinary doctor who went and just taught them, the process of, how to rear chicken effectively. And she told me that right now she has, she can't number them, she can't tell the number of chickens she has. And she's become actually an expert in a village whereby women come to her and ask her, what they can do to be successful in the area of rearing chicken. So that is how we come in to facilitate that kind of, technical support they need.
That's excellent. That's really excellent that every step of the way, LEFI is ready to provide additional support to make sure that they're successful. Because of course, your goal is to make sure they're successful in everything they do, right? Terrific. So I know that from 2019 and 2020, well, at the end of 2019, we were heading toward having more groups become financially secure, being able to be self-sufficient. And then 2020 happened and COVID happened. So tell me how COVID affected operations and how you adapted and how things are changing now. So Sarah or Kimani, do you want to tell me how COVID affected operations?
Fine,
Okay.
I'll jump in fast as I allow Madam to come in shortly. COVID came in and it actually affected a lot of the LEFI programming work. Number one, it was something that was highly unexpected. Nobody was prepared for it. So from an administrative point of view, the aspects of having to do the planning, the work was interrupted. And I believe that also was going to translate into the groups and the work we do being affected. So we had to resort into doing virtual meetings whenever it was not possible to do a physical meeting. And also, there were a lot of many government, because it was a new thing, the government had to introduce new ways of doing things. So the government talked about gatherings, public gathering and meetings being suspended for some time. A lot of protocols were brought in place whereby meetings couldn't be done. And LEFI caters for a group of women who, for some, they are advanced in age, and there were requirements that they cannot be able to meet and a lot of restrictions. So for some who engage in small scale businesses, who have to go to the market and sell their produce, it became very hard for them to be able to get into such places. So they affected a lot of their work. Thirdly, since the meetings and gatherings had been banned, we had to suspend the two meetings that the groups do. That is the economic empowerment part, whereby they come do their table banking and of course share, as well as the prevention part whereby they do the outreach. So we had to suspend that in line with government requirements. So that actually affected a lot the kind of things that we were actually doing. We couldn't also be able to get into visiting groups on the ground to do monitoring of the various activities. So it became a bit, COVID had a lot of impact on the programming that was there. And I'm very sure Madam Edie will add on to that and maybe highlight some of the things that we did to be able to overcome those challenges.
Thank you, Program Manager. I would say that as he's already mentioned that our programming was interrupted, I would say interfered with, but we needed to be creative, just to ensure that our target population continue, to feel our presence, to feel that we are there for them, especially when they desperately need us, especially the women in the groups. And therefore, we innovated ways of continuing to serve our target population. So in terms of the meetings that used to happen twice a month, whereby they used to meet twice a month as a larger group, to engage in the group IGS or to carry out, the prevention education. Since that wasn't happening, so we resolved into, regrouping them in smaller groups. But instead of them meeting as a larger group of 20 women, they would meet now in smaller groups of maybe 3 to 5 women. Then after they meet in smaller groups, then one of the representatives of each smaller group would now meet and just, to share, to bring reports about the women they had met. So that helped in terms of ensuring that, the women in the groups felt supported. They still felt supported. They still felt that we were there for them. Number two, like the aspect of table banking, it wasn't easy since, because they were so much used to coming together, putting their money on the table, then they start, loaning. Now, since that wasn't going to happen, they resolved into, meeting in smaller groups, but now being able, to take advantage of M-Pesa, which is a mobile money transfer in Kenya. And that ensured, that they continued to benefit from table banking, whereby they would continue, borrowing money and helping them to engage in their small, businesses, then being able to pay money, the same money through the mobile money transfer. As for, the mentorship the leadership has been providing to the groups. Since we couldn't do the group visits, still we managed to find a way around it, whereby we could do like maybe conference calls, and that when it's not possible, we could just choose, to call in one woman by, one by one, just find out how they're doing. Because by so doing, we felt it was so critical, because I think there's so many myths around, COVID, and some women even thought that the world was coming to an end. So they weren't even engaging in their individual IGS, because they were just like, any time from now, the world will be coming to an end. So by so doing, just being there and supporting them, continuing, to encourage them, it was so powerful to just innovate a way of that to happen.
Fantastic. So I think it's really amazing the way you were able to pivot and still provide support, find a way to do things, find a way to be there for the women. So things are looking a little bit better now, right? So 2020 year is kind of a garbage year for all of us. We're thinking, that was a terrible year, but things are so much better now, right? Well, getting better slowly. So tell me how things are changing for 2021.
Thank you, Soja, for that question. It's good that we remain hopeful that COVID will, at some point, maybe disappear. But as we navigate through the process, the hope that a vaccine has been found that can help, maybe just as a part of a preventive measure, has given us a lot of hope in the year 2021. And also, the government back here in Kenya has tried to relax some of the measures that they had put in protocols. And therefore, you will find that 2021 is looking a hopeful year. And we have started very well. We started by doing our annual meeting in 2021, whereby, as we have mentioned earlier, we were looking at how we can be able to maybe get the groups back on their feet. And with the goal of looking for how we can make them sustainable, this meeting was very critical. We were also able, it's important for us to keep training these women on how to continue preparing and organizing themselves to become sustainable. we were able to start the process of project management and sustainability in that process. The other thing is that we fairly were able to engage in group visits. So finally, we could be able, after maybe a whole year plus, we were able to go on the ground, meet the women, assess the kind of activities, the challenges they were facing, and hear their stories as we planned. We have also managed from an administrative point to lay a plan, the work plan for this year, in terms of the kind of things we need to do to recover maybe some of the things that we had planned to do in the previous year. So 2021 remains hopeful, and working closely with our partners and funders, we are believing that once we are able to exchange ideas on how we can be able to navigate the year 2021, but we remain hopeful from this end.
As do we. So in closing, I just want to give you a chance to tell me, tell our why economic empowerment is so important in fistula recovery. Either Kamani or Sarah. Sarah, I know you're having some technical issues, but I want to give you the first chance to respond. Tell me why economic empowerment is so important for fistula survivors.
Thank you, Soja. I would say for LEFI, getting into the space of empowering fistula survivors economically, one, poverty remains a major contributor to maternal mortality. In fact, most of these women found themselves in this place, first of all, found themselves in this place because of poverty, because we know of the two delays that happen at home when a woman is in labor. The first delay is, delay in making decision to seek, medical attention. The second delay is how to get, to the facility. And most of the women, based on our interaction with them, they tell you either one, I didn't want to go to the hospital because I just didn't know how to take care of my hospital bill after I've delivered. Or some would tell you, yes, I really wanted to go to the hospital, but how to get to the hospital was a major challenge. So I opted, to deliver under a traditional birth attendant, under the help of a traditional birth attendant. So in the first place, it is what contributed to their fate of being a fistula, of living with fistula. Number two, even after, when a woman was a fistula, fistula, as much as is affects the physical body, but it has, consequences, other consequences, like, the social, the economic, and many other affects the women in other many ways. So you'll find that most women, since because of the, the continuous leaking of urine or the passing of stool, they're unable to engage in any economic empowerment activity. So you find that, this ends up, pushing them into poverty. So even after a successful corrective surgery, it doesn't guarantee this woman, that she'll be able now to live a productive life again. So you find that many usually feel stuck. They feel like they're unable to move. And this reminds me of the same space I found myself in, after I got surgically treated back in 2007. Yes, I wasn't leaking. I was dry. Yes, I didn't need to worry about the bad odor, but I felt stuck. I didn't know where to begin from because I hadn't done anything with my life for 12 years. Now I was dry. I was okay. I just didn't know where to begin from in order to rebuild my life. So, and actually, it is this worry and being afraid of being alive that pushed me, sent me back into a psychiatric ward. And therefore, the treatment itself I believe is just but the beginning of the process of giving this woman an opportunity to live a productive life again. And therefore, when we do this, we actually guaranteeing them a better tomorrow. We are guaranteeing them improved lives. We are guaranteeing them wholeness. And this has gone it has gone a long way, whereby when you interact with them, they'll tell you, I feel like I'm like other women, I feel, this has boosted my self-esteem because I can go to the market. I can do what other women are able to do. And those are the stories that, we are happy to share with the rest of the world. Then besides that, I'm super excited about the Young Champions Fistula Clubs that we are launching in this second quarter. And apart from, looking at, the issues around early pregnancy, which is a major contributor to maternal mortality, and other harmful cultural practices like early marriage, FGM, we are also, these girls and boys are going to benefit from a low-scaled economic empowerment, economic empowerment trainings, which we believe, because if a girl is economically empowered, even if she gets to a place of now, she's becoming a woman, she wants to start a family, she will not struggle with the things that we struggle with. She will not struggle with the issue of how to get to the facility. So we feel that if an aspect of poverty is addressed, we are looking forward to an improved community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm so proud to be associated with you and the work that you're both doing. It's terrific. And thank you so much for taking this time, spending with us to explain to everyone really the importance of the work you do. Thank you. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having us, Soja.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed our program tonight and the chance to hear directly from Sarah and Kamani. Please consider making a donation to WFF in order to support their work. Go to wffund.org/donate. And for the month of May, a very generous donor has offered a $25,000 matching gift for any donations during the month of May to help support mothers everywhere and in honor of International Fistula Day on May 23rd. Your gift in any amount could be doubled with that $25,000 gift. Thank you for your consideration.